folks. Welcome back to About the House. This is your audio university of knowledge of everything about your home, from construction to maintenance, remodeling to real estate investing. And we also, through The Answer, we have a forever library. So what that means is that each week that we have a specific guest, trade, or a subject matter that you can always go back to the library, podcast library, and go back and research it. We actually have so much information each and every week that it's impossible to actually remember every bit of it. So I really highly encourage everybody to take their notes, get a pen and paper out before we get started. You know, make sure that you have any questions that you can always come back and talk and email us or contact, through Facebook, whatever is easiest, or listen to the podcast again. Hey, this is Troy Galloway, your humble host. I am the owner of Galloway Building Services. Just like this show, we're one of a kind. There isn't another company in the Midwest that provides the unique services we do for people throughout the Midwest every day. We help people with construction consulting. If you have any questions about if your job's being done right or not, you give us a call. We do new construction as well as remodeling inspections. We do commercial and residential inspections for people buying and selling homes. We also help in any kind of construction conflict resolutions. And if you need an expert witness to do any into litigation work, we hope that don't happen, but if it does, we are the company that help you with this. We have been the industry now for over 42 years, and our motto is to make sure that you're getting everything that you paid for, the job is being done right, and you're not getting ripped off. So if you ever have any questions, give us a holler, 636-394-3112. All right, before we get started here, I want to thank one of our premier sponsors, J&H Property Real Estate Brokers. You know, I always talk about them every week, and I honestly, folks, I hear great reviews about how they actually take care of their people, how they're so personal. You know, when you're buying and selling a home is really scary stuff, and it's really great to have somebody that's in your corner. When you get a hold of the J&H Properties and whoever you're working with, they will be with you from beginning to end. So give them a call, 314-602-4835. That's 314-602-4835. Hey, today we have a great show. It's actually something that I get asked a lot about when we teach our classes, construction or inspection classes, and that is insurance. I know insurance is a scary thing, and that's why I have one of the leading industry experts with us today, Mr. Mike Caples of Farmers Insurance. Welcome, Mike. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it, Troy.
Tell us, how long have you been in the business, and what brought you to doing something like insurance?
Well, when I didn't grow up wanting to be an insurance agent by no means, but I kind of fell into it. I was in medical sales for a little bit and looking to find something that was going to give me the renewals and things that's going to happen that the industry does give me, and the love to helping people out. And that's the most important thing. So I've been in the business for, I'm going to start my 20th year here in November. And Farmers Insurance, my office is actually in Arnold, Missouri, so not too far from here. And great company, just not on what the products we have to offer, but on the claim side. And it's such a big issue when it comes down to the claims and how you're being treated and taken care of as well.
Well, I know that's why actually I've known Mike now for a few years, and everybody loves him, not because they have to, insurance is one of these things that we have to have, but it's because of your personals, Mike. You know, you're there and you talk to people, you make them feel good when they're scared to death.
Exactly. I mean, insurance is a scary thing, and you have to think it's scary because you just don't know when something bad's going to happen, and that's what us insurance agents do. We make sure we sit down with you, we talk to you, we find out. Everybody's risk is different, whether it's in construction, all the way down to if you just want to rent an apartment. So that's why I take the time and my staff takes the time to make sure those things are covered for you.
Well, yeah, that's great because it, especially like what we just went through with the heavy rains and things like that. Well, I always get asked in my classes the different type of insurance for construction projects and such. And now we have Google and everything that you could just think that you could just get all your information. So to help us out, how important is it to have a personal insurance agent?
Oh, Troy, it is so important. I mean, today people can pull up their cell phones. They can just get a policy without even talking to an agent, which that's where some of this is going, but still, people still want that attention and that care that they have somebody on their team, basically. Because I am on your team. Not saying that I'm against farmers, but there's times where they call on me to talk to the home office to make sure, hey, is this correct? Not that I'm challenging them, but I want to make sure that the coverage is right, the claim's going properly, as well as anything else that might be needed that I need to put special attention to as your insurance agent.
Well, how do you figure out what kind of coverage somebody needs for either construction or just a regular home insurance?
Just like regular home insurance, the biggest thing is what is the true replacement cost of that house? Now, people get kind of confused. They think, okay, well, my house is valued at $200,000. Well, we really want our values to go up, but as an insurance company, we just care what it's going to cost to rebuild that house. God forbid someone takes a tornado comes by and takes that house and takes it to a different county. What's it going to cost based on your square footage, based on how many bathrooms? Is your basement finished? What kind of roof do you have? Do you have a fireplace? Do you have a deck? Do you have outbuildings? Things like that. So that all comes together to make sure that replacement cost is taken care of at the time of the accident.
That's great. And, I think that's really important because I know it costs a lot of money, but it's going to cost you a heck of a lot if you don't have the right insurance and replacement cost. Of course, I'm a big believer in the replacement cost. So
replacement cost is so important. And if you ever get anybody to try to sell you something that's actual cash value, you should beware. I don't see it too much in my industry, but there are times where I come across policies like that. And it basically means is if your roof needs to be replaced, they're going to deduct monies off what they're going to give you for the claim. And you're not going to be very happy with that at all.
No, I bet not. Well, the shows that we talk about a lot about building and construction and such. And so I really kind of wanted, I know we're going to be moving into this next segment here. Sure. So what we don't get covered this time. But so one of the questions I get asked is, we'll just put a scenario. I'm building a home. Okay. I'm building a new home, or I'm building a room addition. What type of insurances do I need? We'll talk about the contractor in a minute, but what kind of insurance do I need, the homeowner, our home buyer? The
home buyer. If you're building a home, well, you need to speak to your contractor. Different ways to cover in that now, because sometimes the contractor will cover the own insurance while the house is being built during that process. But there are other types where you actually, which is called a builder's risk policy, that the person that's having the house built, the homeowner, actually carries the insurance, and they carry the insurance just like the house is already built. So we start from day one, and as the process is going through, the builder is building that. And if you have a claim of some sort, then that policy will cover that house just like it's been built.
Okay, so we've had a lot of heavy rains. Correct. And we've been hearing a lot about, I'm in the middle of a construction project and the roof leaked. How do you make sure, for what first, who's supposed to cover that?
Well, if the contractor put that roof on for you and it's done by the contractor and the roof is leaking, then that's going to fall back on the responsibility of that contractor, and that's why it's so important. Contractors, you want to make sure if you're doing any kind of business with any contractors out here that they have insurance. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I want to talk about that on the next segment because I want to make sure we get the right terminology.
Correct.
But what if that roof is not completed just yet? Is that the contractor's deal or is that homeowners? It
could fall on the homeowners. If they're carrying that builder's risk policy, that's going to fall on the homeowner's policy that's covering it. Since that's how the policy was designed and set up that way.
Okay. So that's another really good reason to have your own personal agent, because these are great questions that you need to ask your agent, like Mike and Farmers, and say, hey, Mike, I'm getting ready to do this work. What do I need to have to make sure I'm protected, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a really important. I want to make, hey, folks, we are getting ready to wrap up this segment here. We're going to jump in there. We're going to talk more about what kind of insurance contractors are supposed to have, and Mike's going to talk about how to make sure that you get the right paperwork. And there's a ton of information. I want you to, if you would, please just take a few moments and make sure you write these notes down, and Mike's going to give you a way of getting a hold of him at the end of the show, so you can contact him directly, or you can always contact us through Galloway Building Services Facebook page or our webpage and ask these questions. That way, everybody, and Mike will jump right onto our webpage and our Facebook page, and he'll answer any of your questions. Even if he doesn't sell that insurance product, he will definitely take his time to help you, guide you. That's just the kind of fella he is. I know he takes care. He's awesome. Anyway, I have farmers insurance, so that's my disclosure, but not with Mike.
Not with Mike, though.
But I will. All right, thanks, folks. See you on the other side.
All right.
Sponsored by Troy Galloway and Galloway Building Services, your top choice for professional home inspections in the St. Louis area. GallowayBuildingServices.com.
Welcome back, folks, to About the House. This is Troy Galloway, your humble host, owner of Galloway Building Services. We are your certified construction consulting and inspection company. We have an awesome guest here today. I want to jump right back in here because we got a lot of great questions we want to ask Mike Caples of Farmers Insurance. And so we was in the last segment, we was talking, Mike, we was talking about contractors and getting started on projects. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is, how do you know, not you, the insurance guy, but how do we know as a consumer if our contractor has the right insurances?
Well, that is so important. So if you're ever doing a project, whether it's a home remodeling project, whatever it might be, the first thing you should ask is, do you have insurance? That's the most important thing. And they, at that time, should be able to offer you a certificate of insurance, which will give them which will give you the liability coverage of the policy, which that portion protects you. God forbid they do something during the project and they put wires together and the house burns to the ground. So that's always important. If you see somebody with $300,000 of liability, I'd recommend probably finding someone that says at least $1 million. Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot, but there's a lot of loss that could happen, and that's what I advise my contractors that I insure as well, is to carry a little bit more than you think you need, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know.
Well, right. There could be antiques in the house, family heirlooms, heaven forbid, pets. Or,
absolutely.
Well, so with a certificate of insurance, yes. And I have witnessed this myself out there, because we do conflict resolution or any problems on construction sites, where the contractor gave the consumer a certificate of insurance. But in today's world with the computers, we can make something up like lickety-split, How can we guarantee that, okay, let me change a little bit, even different. What if they have insurance? Mike says, I got them insured, but they own it, and then they cancel in the middle of it because they're running out of money. They're getting in trouble a little bit. That's happening out there right now.
That is happening out there, and it is amazing. That's a great question, Troy. And I urge consumers to ask them to say, Can I be the certificate holder on your insurance policy during your project? So basically what that means is that by putting your name on there, if for some reason that policy would cancel during the project, the consumer is going to get notified. So that gives the consumer the opportunity then to go back and go, hey, what's going on? But it's always good to also look for contractors that lead with the insurance piece up front while you're going through the process of getting a bid. So ask for that up front. It's your right to call that insurance company up, review the coverages. And you know how many people probably do that? There's very, very few that actually do call the insurance company. They take the word of the contractor, which is great, but it's always good to to make sure you vet those contractors.
What was the old saying that somebody said out there years ago? Trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
And actually, if you folks remember, on Matt Nagel's attorney Matt Nagel's actually talked about a little bit of this, making sure that you are the certificate holder of insurance in your contract. Mm-hmm. So we got a podcast, attorney Matt Nagel, and so go back and check that out. But Mike will, of course, Mike and everybody, they all know each other, so they work together to make sure that you do get the right coverage. So, all right, now, the other day, well, I'm not going to say where, but there was a job that the contractors were doing and had a gas leak. And that gas leak somehow exploded. I don't know how it happened. I wasn't involved. Mm-hmm. I just knew the people, and it blew up. Now, it also affected the neighbors' houses. Correct. How can I protect my neighbors? I mean, is there such a thing?
Well, what's going to happen is that the insurance company, because the insurance is on that house of your neighbors. Now, first and foremost, without having to go back and say whose fault it was or figuring out why that gas leak, the most important thing is you have an home insurance policy that's going to put your house back to where it was, regardless of if you got 3 or 4 different insurance companies. So then let the insurance companies work out all the in-betweens as far as whose fault was it. And it might have been the fault of the contractor, or it could have been it was a faulty gas pipe that could have caused it. I can go back to obviously to the gas company. So there's a lot of variables, but most importantly is that your policy takes care of you, and then let the other things kind of work its way out as far as let the insurance companies, that's what you pay us for. Let the insurance companies work these things out because you've got things to do in your life to move forward. Let us handle that for you.
That's great because, and here's I got another scenario for you. I can't give particular names because in this instance, I am wrapped up in the construction conflict issue. But, so we have the roofing company put on the roofing material on top of the building. It fell through the roof. Of course, going through the roof made a lot of damage. The contractor said it's not his baby. The insurance or the owners that owned the building said, well, my insurance doesn't cover what you do. Mm-hmm. So I'm not asking you how to fix that problem, but how can you, a consumer, make sure that even if it's outside of your contractor, if it is outside, that's all for lawyers to figure out. Right. How can you make sure that you're protected from even other people other than the contractor?
Well, most importantly is obviously if in that instance, if the building coverage, pull your building policy out. You know how many people read that 120-page policy? Not too many.
None.
None. Yes. And they see it and they go, well, okay.
Oh, them words are so big you can't get.
And that's why I say, if you want to take a good nap, go ahead and you read this. There'll be a test on this tomorrow. Trust me. And no one does. But that's where you're doing a project like this. Call your agent up and say, look, I've got a contractor that's getting ready to put this roof on. What's going to protect me inside of my policy if something like this happens now? That's the most important thing.
Right. So there's another good reason, folks. You don't Google your insurance guy or person, I should say, but you actually have him as your friend. Somebody you know, somebody you feel comfortable with, that you don't mind calling them up and pestering them and asking them questions. You got people in the office to help you too, right? I
have 3 great girls. They do a great job for me. It gives me opportunity to come out here and do things like this. But I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they're like, insurance agent, well, you get my cell number. It's on my business card when you start to do business with me. But also you have a textable line with my office. So you can call or text the girls, or you can contact me directly, whether it's on a Saturday, Sunday. Because I've had people call me up on a Sunday at 10 o'clock. Well, do you want to get a call from a customer? Yes, I do, because insurance is important to me, and it's important that I take care of that customer.
Well. It just only festers. It only gets bigger, Okay, here's a great one here. Okay. So we're in the middle of a project, and say, we'll pick on new homes or any kind of remodeling, and somebody that's not even supposed to be on the job, but they're just over there checking it out. It happens all the time in remodeling or when houses are empty in particular. how do we make sure that who takes care of that, and how do we make sure that we don't get sued and lose this house we're not even done building yet?
Exactly. Well, that's where the liability, if someone comes, your liability works like this. If someone comes on your premise, welcomed or unwelcomed, there could be an issue of you being sued. Now, the contractor, if they're just doing maybe a remodel and they have someone come on that's not part of their team, or maybe it's a friend and they get hurt, they could fall back on the contractor if they have insurance, which is great. If for some reason that contractor does not have insurance, you've actually took on that responsibility of taking care of that person that got hurt. You can be sued personally for that.
And that means they could take everything. Possibly, yes. Take everything.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely.
So there's once again is another great reason to have it be a certificate hold or...
Exactly. You're exactly right.
I know I always advocated that. Actually, I bragged about that, that we going to do this for you so as that you want to, just makes them feel better. Makes me feel better that they're not going to be scared,
Absolutely.
Well, folks, thank you, for listening to our show here About the House with Farmers Insurance by Caples. We are having a great show. I want you to make sure that you get some pen and paper out here. Contact us. Like I said, check out the podcast, Podcaster Forever, thanks to the blessing of the answer. And we will catch you on the other side. And, hey, make sure you come back up here. Mike's got some great answers and questions that we're going to have. And we're going to have a little special something at the very end to help you out.
Sponsored by Troy Galloway and Galloway Building Services, your top choice for professional home inspections in the St. Louis area. GallowayBuildingServices.com.
Welcome back, folks, to About the House. This is your humble host, Troy Galloway. We are your certified construction consulting and inspection company. You ever have a remodeling project or a new home project, you want to make sure it's being done right, you give us a call. We specialize in that. There isn't anybody that I know of in the Midwest besides us that takes care of that kind of projects. And we're back here with Mr. Mike Caples of Farmers Insurance. And Mike, we was at the break time and we started talking a little bit about, I'm going to call it a horror story, something really bad happened. Share with everybody what happened and the pitfalls and how it could be fixed.
So basically what happened is person owned the house. They sold the house. The next people moved in and they had someone over. They came down in their basement, was hooking up the TVs and things like that. Well, this particular contractor got zapped. Was electrical, and the wires weren't done properly. Well,
oh no,
yes. So that's a bad issue. So it hurt him pretty bad. Well, you're thinking, who's responsible? Well, guess what? The person that owned that house did have some family members just finish the basement. So we do our own little projects, but keep in mind when that happens, that person that got hurt actually ended up suing the farmer person that owned that house. And then the two other people, the family members that actually helped refinish the basement. So a very large claim. It all fell back on their liability on each one of those. Even though they didn't own the house anymore, it still fell back on that. That's why it is so important. We all do our home projects, guys, and you say, hey, come over, let's finish my basement or that. But if for some reason you don't do the right things, you don't pull the right permits, it's going to cause you a huge liability claim.
Yeah, so even the people that didn't even own the home got caught in that.
Yes,
wow.
They did.
Is there any type of protection that we can have if we sell a home against this?
Well, there's really no other. I mean, as far as protection, the only protection you can hope is that you don't go down that situation is have someone do that with that. It's not a licensed contractor. Don't do it. You do it yourself, but you got to be careful. But that's still important. That's why you got to carry the right liability limits, whether it's carrying an umbrella policy or something that's, over and above all that. You have to look at what you got to lose. If your house is worth $500,000, would you carry $300,000 of liability? No. You're going to carry more than that.
Wow. That's petrifying.
It is.
We all have homes we sell. So an umbrella policy, hey, write this one down. You got to write this one down, folks. So ask your insurance guy. Or when you're switching insurance companies and you call Mike, Caples of Farmers Insurance, he'll help remind him that you heard this on the show, and he'll help guide you, make sure, because it said you can't afford, you can just lose everything.
You can. Absolutely can.
Well, so let me ask you did touch on something about permits, and this is something, I've heard stories back and forth, so help me out here. Okay. So if I heard that if I do a job and it's not permitted, and we'll say electric because we was just on that, but anything, and a house burns down, I heard insurance companies don't have to cover that. Is that true?
Not totally necessarily true. That's why when you get in a claim like that, I mean, it could fall back since you didn't pull the proper permits. And if you're in a county or a city that requires to have permits pulled for any job that you're doing, it is so important that you do that. Now, is there a particular policy to cover that or will not cover it? It really falls down to your liability. Yes. If you don't intentionally do it, I mean, there's some wiggle room where your liability is going to cover you regardless. During the fact or after the fact, you'll have that coverage. But do things the right way. If you need permits pulled, pull the permits. I know sometimes people are like, it's going to cost a few extra, but that's why you have licensed contractors that do the right things when it's coming to build your, work in your home.
Well, even with licensed contractors, there are a lot of times we'll have consumers that will say, don't pull a permit because they don't want their taxes to go up. Even so, I mean, I know that's, if you're a licensed contractor, you automatically know that's a no-no.
No.
But that happens all the time. And,
it really does, Troy.
So I tell folks, make sure, actually, when we do inspections, if I see things that are I could just tell. I've done it so many years. I can say, this has never been permitted.
Right.
How can you tell? Yada, 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 yada. Well, make sure that your insurance company is aware. Now, I'm asking the question, make sure your insurance company is aware of possibly not being permitted. Is that a good idea?
That's a great idea. Contact your insurance agent and talk to them about you're going into a project like this. What do you recommend? Will my liability cover me? That's really, just pick the phone up and call. Don't Google.
You're darn right. Everybody thinks Google is the answer to all, but we realize that they are not.
Not at all.
Not a human being is still. I'm old school. Human being is still the best source of information, and also you have somebody to hold liable.
Absolutely. Yes, you do, Troy.
All right. Well, thanks, folks, for listening to the show. We will catch you on the next segment. We have a ton more questions we got to ask. We're going to go back. With all the hail damage and storms and stuff, we're going to kind of move into the storm issues and concerns that we have. And, hey, if you have any questions, make sure you write them down. Give us a call, Galloway Building Services, or you contact Mike Caples of Farmers Insurance. He will take care of you. You just mentioned you talked to him on the show. I promise you, he'll do everything he can. Thanks, folks. See you on the other side. All righty, folks. Thank you for coming back to About the House. This is your humble host, Troy Galloway, owner of Galloway Building Services. We are your certified construction consulting and inspection company. You ever have any issues with your project, you give us a call, or if you're buying or selling your home, give us a touch base. Hey, before we move on, I do want to I want to also give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Classic Flooring Solutions, Jacob Abraham. This is a third-generation hardwood surfacing and installing company. They are top of the line. I have known their I known Jacob since over 30-some years. I knew his father. They have old-fashioned ways of doing things that are top-notch. Make sure that they do everything a little extra. They don't blow and go. They get in there and get it done. Give them a call, 314-302-7222. That's Jacob Abraham of Classic Flooring Solutions, 314-302-7222. Well, anyway, we're going to jump right back in here, and thanks, Jacob, for helping us out and sponsoring our show. Mike, I got Mike Caples here of Farmers Insurance, and we promised everybody that on this segment we were going to move into storm damage, and we'll start with the roofs if we could, please, and tell us about what should we be expecting. We'll start with that. How do we even know that we have the storm damage? We'll start there.
First and foremost, if you have a hail damage is probably the biggest claim that most insurance deal with. I mean, roofs in our area get replaced on an average anywhere from 5 to 7 years. You're going to possibly have a hailstorm, possibly. And most importantly, what you should do is when you think you got hail, you think you got wind damage, call your insurance agent up and ask them, what's the next steps? Well, how I advise my clients is do I want to turn this claim in? Well, some companies that if you do turn a claim in and you don't even get any money for it, could adversely affect you, which is most people don't realize, especially if you're switching insurance companies, they pull that. So it's always good to sometimes just have a local roofing contractor that's licensed to go out, assess your home, let them say, yeah, you do have some roof damage. And then let's go ahead and turn that claim in. So then that contractor can actually get with the claims adjuster. They work together. Adjusters they're not the devil. Trust me. They want to pay your claim out. They want to put you back to where you were. But let's get these guys together so they can work together and get you the right replacement costs on those roofs when it does happen.
So if you have a hail damage, is it an automatic replacement 100%, or do you prorate it, or what's the devils and the angels here? So
devils and angels there. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to get a check, and usually it's less than the full amount because contractor comes out, they start the project, they finish the project, the insurance companies then pays the rest of the bill off. So it protects you because most people do have a loan on their house, and it protects you as well to make sure you're just not taking that money and putting it in your pocket, which that usually doesn't happen that often anymore. But it's important that you do have that contractor come out, look at your roof, and then when money's exchanged, that way the insurance company gets paid, the contractor gets paid, everybody's getting paid, everybody's happy, and the roof's replaced, and we can move forward then. But
yeah. Well, and also, folks, go back to our show with Matt Nagel, the attorney, Matt Nagel, and talk about lien waivers, too, so as that makes sure that, that you're getting it paid, everything's being paid for, because once you guys pay, you're done, right? I mean,
pretty much.
Or do you require the lien waivers? Let me ask you.
Sometimes, yes, we do require, especially when there is a loan on the house that is required usually by the loan mortgage company to make sure that everything is taken care of as well. And one thing we want to talk about is actually your deductible. That's very important because a lot of deductibles, a lot of people don't realize it, that sometimes they do a wind and hail percentage deductible. So I've come across people have a 1.5% or 2% or 1% of the dwelling coverage. So if you got a $300,000 home, well, your deductible will be 1% or possibly 2% of that cost that you're going to get hit with. So pull your policies out. Make sure that's that little endorsement, because we don't have to tell you. Every year we send out a declarations page. That is your notice. So a lot of companies are now going to that wind and hail endorsement automatically, and people don't find out till claim time.
That's good. You know what? I would love to have you come back, Mike, and we could specifically hit some of these, because I know we're hitting a broad range fast.
Right.
But let me ask, do you have time to add? I hear you in a lot of different public speaking talking about getting belly button to belly button. You got time to hit that right now?
I do have time. That is just, I heard this probably about 15 years ago. From an agent in Arizona, and it is basically taking the time. I know getting belly button to belly button seems a little personal, but it's taking the time as an insurance agent to sit down with your client, find out about them, find out about their likes, their dislikes, so they can design that policy. So I can design that policy. My agency can design that policy for you the way it should be.
I've been hearing you say that for years, so I just had to ask that question because when Mike gets up and he talks to people and gives public speaking and talking about insurance, he mentions that. Also, we're going to give you some kudos here about how you help your first responders and how you do that. And we'll talk about that on the other real quick, like on the other side in the next segment. But Mike does some great things for the first responders, and I know they dearly love him for that. Well, anyway, folks, thank you for listening to this segment, and we will catch you on the other side.
Sponsored by Troy Galloway and Galloway Building Services, your top choice for professional home inspections in the St. Louis area. GallowayBuildingServices.com.
Welcome, folks, back to About the House. This is your humble host, Troy Galloway, owner of Galloway Building Services, and we are wrapping this show up. But, hey, we got Mike Caples of Farmers Insurance, one of the leading industry experts in the area. And we just touched base a little bit on this in the last segment about how you help the first responders. And tell them, I know that they really love what you're doing. Share a little bit how that works and what you're doing for the first responders out there.
Obviously, first responders are near and dear to my heart. Obviously, they're out there protecting us. They're putting things in. They're putting themselves first, and that is so great. But I do things. I do a barbecue every year. I do the first of the summer, so I invite all the first responders in the area, and I also invite local business owners too as well, just bringing the community together as well. And I also do I call it a Heroes Night Out raffle, and I do that. I usually rotate with different police departments, but I offer them. They just pull their name out, and I give them either Cardinals tickets, Blues tickets, and I also give them a nice gift certificate to one of the local restaurants here as well. So that's what we call a Heroes Night Out.
That is really awesome of you to do that. Being a veteran is one of my. I'm a veteran, so I have a personal place in my heart. Do you guys have any kind of discounts for veterans?
Yeah, discounts. I mean, just not your first responders, but if you're a nurse, if you're an EMT, all that gets it, as well as veterans. Now, veterans, regardless, don't matter. You don't have to be in active status. You get a discount because you are a veteran, which it is so special. That's
awesome, and that's one of the reasons we love farmers is because of that, and of course, how you take care of the people. How can to tell us everybody here, as we're wrapping this up, how's the best way of getting a hold of you and asking questions however?
Well, there are so many ways. I mean, smoke signals, I don't care. Whatever you feel like doing, let's do it.
As long as the house ain't burning.
No, the house ain't burning.
Too late for insurance now.
But I have a great staff. I have 3 great girls, like I said earlier. Chris, Deb. Actually, my wife, Leslie, works for me as well. And you can call our number. I'll give it out here. So it's 636-282-7000. Again, that's 636-282-7000. You can actually call or you can text, which is really nice.
I like the texting.
So, that's why if you don't even want to call us, if you want to text a question in, or if you just want to get together with us, that's a real easy way to do it. Or my own cell phone number, which is 314-566-1788. So you can directly call me as well anytime to get a hold of me. And obviously I have email and things like that.
And you can check you out on your Facebook page.
Facebook page, it's the Michael Caples Agency. So Michael Caples Agency, if you search that, you're going to pull my stuff up. I do a video every Friday, which I call Farmers Friday. So I try to give some thoughts about the insurance business, but have some fun with it too as well.
We got to get together and do one of the videos. That sounds awesome. We talked about that. I know we just get so busy. Well, folks, hey, Mike, really appreciate you coming today. I know that the folks have really appreciated it, and we're wrapping this show up. But I do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, and that's J&H Properties, real estate broker, folks. Honestly, if you're really looking for somebody that will go the extra mile, make sure you're getting the job, protecting you, make sure that you are getting a fair shake. In a world that's very confusing, give them a call. J&H Properties, real estate broker. Their phone number is 314-602-4835. And hey, before I wrap up out of here, Mike, I do want to ask you, if they call you through this and they mention this radio show, Well, can you help them out? Can you give them a little bit of extra?
I can give you a little extra. It's something simple. I mean, everybody needs gas, or even I usually what I do is you do a free consultation. What I do is give out a $10 gas card.
There you go.
It helps. So just call for a consultation, and we'll get you a gas card for sure.
And that number again, Mike?
636-282-7000.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Mike. Going to have you again. Welcome. Thanks, folks. We will see you next week. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.